5 games are now in the books in Heineken Rivalry Week, and despite the fact that we had most of the derby and rivalry happening in this midweek portion of Heineken Rivalry Week, let's just say that it didn't quite live up to its expectation and its hype. I mean, most of these derby games weren't really very exciting, and 4 of those 5 games in this midweek portion of Heineken Rivalry Week ended up in a draw. And coincidentally, all 4 of those draws were actually 1-1 draw. But in many ways, the thing that did live up to the hype, and certainly the first thing that I have to talk about, is that history were made in Orlando City, and that Josef Martinez is now officially the undisputed goal-scoring king, and that he has now scored the most goal ever in a single season in MLS. He has now surpassed the 27 goal mark and has now reached the magic 28. And I said it before in past week of how when exactly Josef Martinez is gonna score that 28th goal and break that record, and that there is just no doubt that he's gonna break the record. But I think in some way, this is probably the best case scenario for him and the best way for him to break this record. I mean, not only he has scored the winning goal in this game to beat their most hated rival, but he did it in front of Orlando City's backyard. He did it against an Orlando City team that even in the midweek, they said that they do not want this to happen and that they will do anything and everything to stop them. And to be fair, Orlando City did do it pretty well in this game, trying to stop Josef Martinez. They really notify him for majority part of the game. But throughout the season, it just feels like no matter what you do, and you can double team or triple team, or you can try to shut out Josef Martinez and put him out of the game, he will always find a moment to score that goal, and he will always find a moment to dazzle. And that moment came in the 74th minute when he basically just cuts back and beat one of the Orlando City defender and able to chip it over Joe Bendik. I mean, that is probably the cheekiest way to get your goal scoring record. And like I said many times before, there is really not more we can say what kind of season Josef Martinez has, because I've been saying it throughout the season. Great is not even a thing that I think should describe Josef Martinez's season so far. It is something that we have never seen in MLS. And I think 10 years down the line, this is something that we're still going to be talking about. And I doubt that by the end of the season, when Josef Martinez is going to score, God knows how many more he can get. Most likely he's going to get 30 plus this year. We know that record is probably not going to be broken for a very, very long time, because there's just something about Josef Martinez that is so unique, and that the way that he is doing something that you would see some of the best player in the world like Messi or Ronaldo would do in their league. And this is a guy that, if you guys don't remember, before he come to MLS, he struggled in Europe. He struggled when he was with a Torino side, and he just couldn't score goals. Nobody expected this outburst. I mean, people know that he was good, but nobody would say that he was this good and that he is putting Messi, Ronaldo kind of number. I mean, it is just incredible, and just, I have to kind of clap in appreciation of what Josef Martinez is. And, when he does play against the Quakes, and I hope that he, of course, play against the Quakes when Atlanta play the Quakes in September. Every time Josef Martinez score, I'm just gonna clap, because you got to appreciate what he has done throughout this season, and the way that he is just completely defied the odds and just completely kind of shut down every single hater that criticized of of him. Some people say that he only scored tap-in and penalties. Yeah, that goal that he broke the record, that wasn't a tap-in. And the goal that he tied for the MLS single-season goal-scoring record, you guessed it, that was not a tap-in or a penalty. I mean, I can go on and on talking about his achievement, and I'm obviously not gonna just spend 40 minutes to talk about, because I'm pretty sure everybody are tired of me just kind of talking about Martinez' kind of achievement. But what can you say other than this is just incredible of what he has done. But going back to this game between Orlando City against Atlanta, well, Atlanta really kind of dominated in this game, especially in the first half. The goal that Scott Sutter scored and the equalizer for Orlando City was completely against the run of play. And, you would think that at that point, maybe Orlando City can get out of something like that. But no, Josef Martinez just come out of nowhere, despite the fact that he wasn't really in the game. Going back to what I said of how even if you think that you have shut down Josef Martinez, yeah, he will always find a way to beat you. And for Atlanta, certainly this is a good win for them, and I think they are probably the biggest winner in terms of the Supporters' Shield race, because both New York club drew each other, and FC Dallas also drew in the Texas Derby, so now they have finally built up a bit of a gap between themselves and the Red Bulls right now. But meanwhile, moving on into the next game, and I'm going to first talk about El Tráfico, which ended 1-1. Zlatan, of course, scored another goal, his 15th of the season, and they had to go to VAR for this goal because it looked like one of the LAFC defender was able to clear that one off the line, but when they look at VAR and when they look at goal line technology, it looked like that ball just about to cross that line. It wasn't by much, but it just crossed the line, and it's definitely a very good call from VAR, and I'm pretty sure that that is one of the few times in these past couple of weeks that VAR was actually used correctly. But no doubt about it, that is definitely a goal. But LAFC did got one back and got the equalizer in the second half after they won a penalty. I think it was Perry Kitchen that brought down one of the LAFC player, and Vela basically converts the penalty. But other than that, this probably was one of the most boring El Tráfico out of the 3 games. I mean, there really wasn't any late kind of drama in this game. There was no late goals and stuff like that. But still, I think when you look at this game, I think both teams certainly will be satisfied after this one. For the Galaxy, they'll be happy because of the fact that they can still say that they of course own El Tráfico, and that they have never lost to LAFC in those 3 meetings in El Tráfico. But more importantly, the defense actually looked very decent, and I thought coming into this game, that was my biggest worry with this Galaxy team. I mean, when you concede 5 goals just 4 days ago against the Seattle Sounders, I just had a feeling that it was going to be even worse coming into this game. But no, they actually did a very good job. They absolutely nullified that LAFC kind of attack. I mean, they really frustrate LAFC in terms of attack, and LAFC just did not do very well going for it on the attack. So certainly the Galaxy will be happy that the defense looked definitely 10 times better than when they play against the Sounders. And even though it wasn't a clean sheet, at least you didn't give up 2 or 3 goals like they have been throughout the last couple of games. And for LAFC, I think they'll be happy with this result, considering the fact that, it's a road point that they gained, and the fact that 2 of their best defender were not really in this game. Simon, of course, wasn't in this game. Danilo Silva suffered an injury after the 27th minute, and it was pretty clear that without both of those players on the pitch, you saw how weak that LAFC defense is. So the fact that they were able to escape StubHub Center with a point with 2 of their starters in the center back position going down, that certainly, they will, of course, definitely take this draw. But yeah, now, of course, we have to wait till next season for another El Tráfico, and hopefully next season I will maybe go to one of the El Tráfico game. I was planning to go to one of the El Tráfico game this season. I was planning to go to the July one, but unfortunately, that plan never kind of worked out. But yeah, meanwhile, moving on into the next one and talk about the New York Derby, which also ended 1-1. And, in this game, two of the biggest stars for each team score. David Villa scored in the 52nd. BWP scored in the 37th. I mean, BWP just loved to score against NYCFC. I mean, that's his 12 goals against NYCFC. If he play against NYCFC every single day, you could say that he could be toe-to-toe with Josef Martinez in terms of the goal-scoring record, because he just loved playing against them. But the big talking point in this game was the 2 red cards from NYCFC, and that they went down to 9 men in this game, and both red card was correctly called. The one by Amirget, that one was definitely a red card because he basically gone stub up, and every time when you go studs up, that is an automatic red card, especially in this league. And Ofari red card, that was, I would say that kind of was a bit of an unfortunate red card, because he was trying to get the ball, and unfortunately he stepped onto the back kind of ankle of, or not ankle, but the back Achilles of BWP, and that, of course, is definitely a red card, because even if you do it accidentally, even if you step on a player's back kind of Achilles accidentally, that's definitely going to be a red card, because that's a reckless kind of challenge, and that kind of challenge could have easily broken BWP leg. But yeah, other than that, there wasn't really much happen in this game. NYCFC, they really kind of, especially after when they went down to 9 men, they kind of really shut down shop and just kind of parked the bus for the remaining of the game. And the Red Bulls find it very hard to try to break down NYCFC in this game, especially in the second half. Although, to be honest, whenever you play a game at Yankee Stadium, it really kind of doesn't matter the fact that you would go down to 10 men or 9 men, because of how small that field is. I mean, I have heard a lot of people complain about how small that field is, and when I look at it on the TV, I can pretty much assure you that it's definitely very small, and it definitely does not look like it has meet FIFA standards. And also the fact that some people complain about the field being very kind of soggy and not really laid out very well, which, it was kind of evidenced by how many players just kind of slipping and something like that. So it's just a kind of another evidence of how I really hope that NYCFC will figure out their stadium issue, and that they got to get a new stadium, because you cannot be playing in a baseball stadium in MLS. I mean, if you play in the USL, you play in a baseball stadium, that is kind of acceptable, but it's definitely unacceptable and kind of embarrassing, the fact that you would be using a baseball stadium as your home for MLS matches. Consider MLS has been really kind of critical about teams building soccer-specific stadium in the future. But yeah, with that being said, moving on into the Texas Derby, also known as El Capitan. That game also ended in a 1-1 draw, and as it is case for Houston, and this has kind of been a tradition throughout this season, they have to give up a goal late in the game. And this time, they gave up a goal in a very kind of hilarious way, with them just kind of like getting beaten by a ball that was over the top, where Barrios was able to beat Wenger to that one and scoring the first goal. And also, by the way, I just realized that this is actually backwards. This should have been over here, and the Pena goal should be for Houston, but it's still kind of the same thing. And by the way, the Ronaldo Pena goal was actually his first goal in MLS, and I'm guessing after this game, unlike El Tráfico, where I said that both teams would be happy with this 1-1 draw, I'm pretty sure this is the complete opposite. Both teams will definitely not be happy with this 1-1 draw. You know, for FC Dallas, that is definitely feel like 2-point draw more than just a point gain. And considering the fact that before this Pena goal scored in the 88th minute, Christian Coman had a absolute free header inside the box, but because we know that Christian Coman just cannot finish, and that we have seen this season of how bad he is when he get into a good area and how he just cannot put it into the back of the net. When the ball was delivered in from Urruti to Coman, you would know that he's not going to finish that. And I'm pretty sure a lot of Dallas fans knew that he wasn't going to finish that, and indeed that is the case. But in some way, that has to be frustrating for Dallas fan, because that could have been easily 2-0, and that could have been the final nail in the coffin in the Texas Derby. But instead, just 90 seconds later, Pena, of course, scored the equalizer. And, you know, for Houston, even though they got that late goal and they did kind of show some resilience to trying to come back, you know, this was a game that I just think that they have to win if they want any small hope left in terms of them making the playoffs. And because they didn't do that, now I can officially say that they're done. They are not going to make the playoffs this season. And, you know, I've been saying many reasons of why exactly they're not going to make the playoffs, and I'm going to repeat it again. The reason why Houston potentially are not going to make the playoffs is that they keep doing this, giving up late goals in the game. But moving on, finally, talking about the one that I'm pretty sure nobody really cares or really watched the game, which is why I kind of saved it till last. Chicago, of course, drew 1-1 against the Columbus Crew. Goal in this game, Nemanja Nikolic with his 12th. Hansen with his first goal as a Columbus Crew player. And yeah, I mean, this definitely was not a fun game to watch. And let's just say that nobody really showed up in this game. They actually announced that the attendance for this game was only 8,763 people. And when you even look on TV, it definitely does not look like 8,000 people actually were in that stadium. It looked like there was only 1,000 or 2,000 people showed up. And it kind of didn't help the fact that they decided to put this game at 6 p.m. in a midweek game. Like, seriously, who in the world decided to schedule a 6 p.m. game in a midweek game? And you know that in Chicago, the traffic is going to be very bad. And the fact that you decide to schedule a game at that time is just, it's just kind of ridiculous. But at the same time, you know, for the Fire, they finally ended that 8-game losing streak. But at the same time, they should have probably won this one. And just as you thought that they would finally get something to cheer about before the Fire will not be playing again until the 16th of September. Again, I don't know what was MLS thinking, putting the Fire in this kind of weird kind of schedule where they don't have a game for almost a month. But they give up a late goal in this game, and yep, it just adds to the pain and suffering that every Fire fan has been suffering so far throughout this season. And just, you know, for the Fire, I guess if you're a Fire fan, the only thing that you're happy now for the rest of the season is that this team is not going to be playing again until the 16th of September, and that I won't have to talk about you in any of my video except for the power rankings, which I won't even mention a lot. I'll just say that, yeah, they did not play this week because they're kind of like in this hibernation mode in the MLS season where they will go 3 or 4 weeks without a game. And as for Columbus, you know, Greg Berhalter did a pretty kind of big, bold move by not putting some of his best starter in the game. Higuain, of course, wasn't playing in this one, and it's pretty clear to see how without Higuain in this game, Columbus just does not look like the same team going forward whatsoever. And it's no wondering when Higuain did come on later in the game, Columbus immediately looked a little bit more sharper than they did when he didn't come on. But other than that, you know, they did get a draw in this game, and at this point, I guess you could say that's kind of a good point because, you know, they got a point on the road, and it doesn't really help them in terms of actually catching up to the two New York team, or it also doesn't really hurt them in terms of actually dropping out of that 4th place spot and dropping down to 5th and 6th. But either way, that is pretty much it for the review of these midweek games. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of these games? And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button, and yeah, I will see you guys next time.